Do our best to bring you the best images and really show you what's going on. It's when you see it in person with your own two eyes, it's just different, and it's sad for Southwest Florida, but also inspiring because of what we're hearing and because of the positive attitude that so many people have. So we're not going anywhere. It's 11 o'clock right now. We want to take a quick break, but we're going to be with you throughout the afternoon today here on Fox 4. We'll be right back. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News. Good morning, 11 o'clock right now, and thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 4 Morning News. I'm Amy Wegmann along with Trent, Aric, and we are broadcasting live this morning from Harlem Heights. It's a community in Fort Myers that's working to pick up the pieces like so many people across Southwest Florida are doing today. We went through the storm. We've seen what Hurricane Ian did to our beautiful communities across Southwest Florida, and now we are working to tell you the stories of recovery. And you can see how much work has to be done when you look over my shoulder and you see truly everything inside of some people's homes here in Harlem Heights is lining the curb. They lost everything, not necessarily because of wind from Irma, but because of water. The water came up. Trent and I are going to show you some of what is lining the streets here and what these people are dealing with in just a second. But first we want to talk about power, because we see power crews. I'm sure you do in your communities as well. They're lining the streets here in Harlem Heights. They're working as quickly as they can to get the power back on. So we kind of want to update you on where things are right now.
Yeah, so here's where we stand as of this morning. There's a combination of the FPL and ECEC numbers. And I know, Amy, we were listening to the press conference just a little bit ago. In Lee County, 63% of customers have no power. And in Charlotte, it's 58%. And 28% of customers in Collier County are still waiting for those lights to come back on.
Yeah, and you know, we heard from FPNL just a short time ago. They have extra crews from out of state working with them. They're at 94% right now. That's amazing. They're going to take those extra crews and transition them to help LCEC crew members to get the power back on to those of you in Cape Coral, for example, who are still without power. We know the number of people in Cape Coral is much larger than anywhere else that is still off the grid, but they're working on it, and they do plan by this weekend to have 95% of customers with power. The only people who won't have power are folks who basically it's the infrastructure isn't there. The house was either completely destroyed or damaged, or they can't get power to the house, if you will. But again, you can check updates on our website all the time, or even on FPNL and LCEC's website to find out when your lights may come on. But hopefully by this weekend, the vast majority of you do.
Yeah, those linemen, they're working so hard, 24/7. We've been giving them thumbs up as they're driving through, and you see one of the crews behind me right now as they are trying to get this community hooked back up to the grid. And once the lights do come back on, the reaction that we're seeing in Southwest Florida has been something that you don't see every day, because after being out of power for a week, today's day 8, cheers, applause are ringing out all around town.
Let's take a listen to one. All right, so if you or a loved one is being affected by a power outage or water outage in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian, of course, we are focusing on as many communities as we can in Southwest Florida. We've got crews all over the place, but we have all of the information on where you need to go to charge your phones, where you need to go to take a shower. All of that is on our website. Just go to fox4now.com.
Those hygiene stations set up there in the Cape, a lot of people still needing not only power, but some running water. And with so many people in the dark in the Cape, Alexander Ronhell, one of our reporters here at Fox 4, doing a tremendous job covering the storm, was there in the Cape, where nearly 75,000 are still without power today.
It's been 8 days after the hurricane, and still residents, like the ones living in this neighborhood on Southeast 34th Terrace, still have no power. Some of the houses here are using generators to power their homes. When we drove in earlier this morning, it was pitch black. Not a single light was on. And we've received messages from people, many in the Cape Coral and North Fort Myers area, who are wondering when they'll get power back. But good news is on the way for LCEC customers. The power company says 350 line workers will be arriving this morning to help restore power in Cape Coral. They also say now that road access to Pine Island has been restored, they'll have a team heading down there to help with the power outages on the island. As for people in Sanibel, LCEC says they're still waiting for access to Sanibel since the causeway was destroyed, which means it will be a while before customers see their power restored. Take a look at the latest numbers from LCEC. Cape Coral is their biggest region with power outages. More than 68,000 customers are out, followed by North Fort Myers with 30,000 customers. Plus, some customers in Marco, Lehigh, Cornerstone, Immokalee still need power. And FPL customers, good news for Collier. FPL says power has been restored for all customers, but about 43,000 customers in Charlotte are out. In Lee County, about 18,000 customers still need power, followed by DeSoto and Sarasota with a couple thousand still needing power. FPL says 90% of their customers have had power restored. Later this morning, we'll be meeting with FPL officials who will give us an update on restoration plans. In Cape Coral, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
All right, thanks for that update, Alex. And again, you can always find information on your power. We've got links to LCEC and FPNL on our website, fox4now.com. Another important thing, aside from power and water, is where you might be able to get food. It is amazing what a hot meal can do for you right now, or even just, a case of water if you need it for you and your families. We know how quickly that goes because so many people are still on boil water notices. So we want to let you know about some places where you can go get food and water and help feed your family. So the Special Population Center on Santa Barbara Boulevard in Cape Coral is taking non-perishable food and water donations. So if you have something you feel you can give, this would be a wonderful place to drop it off. It'll be open from 8 in the morning until 5 each day. Again, the Special Pop Center. Only non-perishable food and water will be accepted here, though, so please don't take any clothing there or any other supplies you might have. They're only taking food and water at this point. If you want a list of other donation sites where you can drop stuff off, maybe you do have that clothing, there are places taking those kinds of donations. We've got a list of those on our website, fox4now.com.
One of the things that we love to do in the Cape is visit the farmers market, and some good news, that's going to reopen. So the Cape Coral Farmers Market, starting this Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., are going to be open in 2 locations. The information is on your screen, and that'll give you just a little bit more information. Now, the market's going to be offering some fresh products. Those have been hard to find in the last few days when you head out to Publix or your Winn-Dixie's. They've got vegetables, fruits, baked goods to help everyone get some of that. You mentioned the hot food earlier, but some fresh produce goes a long way. It's been more granola bars and snacks, and to have that back open this weekend, Saturday from 8 until 1, that's a step.
Another location we want to let you know about is Catholic Charities. They have food, water, MREs, which are those meals that are ready to eat. They're at St. Elizabeth Seton Parish in Naples. We've got the address for you. It should be on your screen right now. There is a drive-through service, and they say that will be open through Saturday. They are hoping to get some dates next week where they can be giving out food as well. And, Trent and I are just touching on a few of the places across Southwest Florida, but we have a compiled list of places. There are so many. I drive past countless locations where you see people handing out cases of water or World Kitchen feeding people in front of Broadway Palm Dinner Theater. I saw them yesterday, hot meals of pasta, So all of those locations are on our website. Maybe you're not hearing us mention one that's near you. They have them everywhere, and we're working our best to compile that list at fox4now.com.
One of them is right here in the Harlem Heights neighborhood that we're at, down at the community center on the corner. We talked this morning to volunteers that came down from North Carolina. Their plan to stick around here for a month. And they need it.
Yeah.
Some hot food down that way, water. And Amy, when you and I were walking around here this morning, we couldn't help but notice it wasn't one street, it wasn't 2 streets, it wasn't even 1 or 2 blocks. It's the entire community that looks like this.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it over our shoulder, it's one thing, but Trent and I wanted to really show you how high the debris is piled here in Harlem Heights, and it really is just everything people had. They've cleared out the inside of their homes, and they have to start over, so they are going to need help as we move forward. So Trent and I want to show you what it's like just walking down the streets here in Harlem Heights. So we just kind of want to walk you down the street, because when you are here in Harlem Heights, as far as you can see down the road, it seems like the contents of people's homes, all of it is just on the sidewalk, piled up high. When we talked to residents, Trent and I were able to meet a couple people. The water was up 4 feet, some a little higher. And you see all the personal stuff. I mean, we're talking about pictures, boogie boards, printers, Nerf guns, furniture. They truly lost everything when we went in and we were able to talk to these people. Trent, talk to me a little bit about, they didn't expect this. The folks who live here in Harlem Heights, These are people who have been here their entire life. 30 years, 50 years, 85-year-old woman has been here 60 years. So these are people who have grown up here. They've never seen anything like this. So we're near water here, right? Why did they see so much flooding?
There's a couple of factors going on. This was a storm that broke records. It was a large hurricane coming at us the wrong direction. So we saw the storm surge. But what makes this area unique, you told me stories about you growing up here. This used to be farmland. You grew up picking strawberries, you told me. This was a very low-lying area, and now not only do you have the water coming from Fort Myers Beach into Estero Bay, you have the Caloosahatchee 2 miles over. It's a low spot. And unfortunately, with the development of Southwest Florida, driving around this morning, you could see areas around here from Gladiola South where they've built up some 7 feet. So this is the first time in generations that we've had this type of storm surge, and now this acts like a bowl.
Yeah.
It collects water, and block by block we walked this morning, and all we keep hearing is 4 to 5 feet of water in every house.
Yeah, when you look over in the front yards, I mean, there's not a single home where you're not finding all of the appliances, the washing machines, cars are being aired out, and then you look around and you see the little personal things that just as a mom and a dad tug on your heartstrings. You know, the little ride-on toy for the little boys and girls, the Christmas paper. It's devastating here in Harlem Heights, but I will say the one thing everyone we've talked to so far in this community has said, they're not going anywhere and they plan on rebuilding, and it's amazing to see how strong they are. Yeah, they are. They're so strong, and it's so amazing to see the outpouring of support across the community here. In every pocket of Southwest Florida, we are hearing about volunteers kicking into high gear, doing what they need to do, and some of these people lost stuff in their homes, lost their homes, and they are dedicating their time to help communities like Harlem Heights, and that's where Trent and I are broadcasting from today. We have so many more stories to tell. We're going to be with you throughout the afternoon today, but we're going to take a quick break, and we hope you'll stick with us. You're watching extended coverage of the aftermath and recovery here in Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian. We'll be right back. Good morning, 11:17 right now. Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 4 Morning News. You are watching our extended coverage of the recovery efforts here in Southwest Florida after we've gone through Hurricane Ian. We're in Harlem Heights this morning. It's a community off Gladiola Drive in Fort Myers. It's a community where a lot of people have been their entire lives. And unfortunately, it's a community that's looking at devastation right now. They lost a lot of everything in their homes because the waters came up 4 to 5 feet in some of these homes. And now they've had to literally take everything out, put it on the curb, and start the rebuilding process. Before they rebuild, they have to tear down the drywall and clean up the floors, and that's the important work that volunteers are doing. Today, they're out in this community and they're helping, and we know that's happening across Southwest Florida. We love to see that. If you have pictures of somewhere you're volunteering or people are working to help you in your community, we would love to see them. Just go to fox4now.com/pics. A lot of the volunteers that we're seeing are students, and we'd love to see that. I saw some FGCU t-shirts, and I know some high school kids. They're out of school in Lee County, so they're working right now to help these families.
Yeah, and this is all up and down Southwest Florida. This is from Venice. This is the Venice High Indians basketball team. They help people throughout the community cleaning up all the debris here after Hurricane Ian, and they were doing that yard work, just helping out any way they can. Kudos to the Venice High Indians basketball team for getting out there and lending a hand, and hope to see many more of you who are able to get out and pitch.
I've heard from a lot of parents saying, well, my kids are out of school, if they still are, if you're in Charlotte, Lee, or DeSoto. I want an opportunity, a volunteer opportunity for my kids. Volunteer Florida is a great resource, but there are so many local organizations where you can tap into that too. Kids in Collier County went back to school today, so they're busy back at learning, back at that structure, which I know is so important for them after we've gone through something like this here in our community. Our John Barron is live. He's at Shady Lawn in Naples. And John, I know you spoke with Superintendent Kamala Patton there in Collier County. This has to be tough for her to see, not only what we went through in Collier County, but also her counties to the north, Lee County and Charlotte County, what they're dealing with. So what did she have to say to you?
Yeah, so she really went on to kind of talk a little bit more about what we're expecting to see here in Collier County and what we're actually not really seeing too much of here in Lee and Charlotte County and DeSoto County, which is unfortunately a lack of school, because at this point in time they're assessing damage, and they did say that Collier County will help them out as much as possible as far as if they need any teachers or things like that. But right now they're in the phase of just trying to get things started. Collier County is already up and running. This is day one of the restart, but what the superintendent was talking about more so was focusing on Collier County. They are expecting anywhere between 800 volunteer and really substitute teachers at this point in time in rotation. Now, they did not say that all 800 were going to be, available and be used at this point in time, but they did reach out to them just to make sure that they're okay and that they can be used if needed. Now, the superintendent went on to actually speak a little bit more about, just the community coming together and just seeing what these teachers have done just so far, and she got quite emotional during it.
Unbelievable. When you talk about what people do, the extra mile, they're just incredible. They meet every need that you could think of. So when we say we have great employees, we truly mean that. Very selfless.
And like you just saw and like you just heard, very emotional from that superintendent as she's talking a little bit more about just the outpour of support that we're seeing here in Collier County. Really, all of Southwest Florida is just all coming together. And really, Amy, you guys have seen that just outside, just hearing the humming of the generators and, the outpour of support with people taking the chainsaws, getting things out of other people's houses and, the debris. So when we're talking about just the phase that we're seeing here in Southwest Florida, it's not just that, it's also the meals. And what we're seeing here in Collier County is, once again, them doing what they can to really try to rise up and really see and feel a need when they can. And that's what they're doing with the meal plans here for breakfast and lunch. And actually, at this point in time, Collier County will actually supply that to really give parents an opportunity to kind of just not worry about it, worry about, the things that they have to right now and worry about their houses and taking care of their kids. But they also were trying to do that until October 31st. When I asked the superintendent how long they intend to have this go for, she said, right now, October 31st is our deadline. That's coming out of our pocket, but we're going to look for a more dominant, really more a permanent basis after that. So we'll have more for you guys coming up later on in the hour, but for now, live here in Collier County, John Barron, Fox 4.
All right. Thanks for the update, John. We appreciate that. One of the things we see constantly on the roadway here across Southwest Florida are those power trucks, and I even saw a FedEx delivery truck in my neighborhood yesterday. I see Habitat for Humanity driving by in front of us behind our camera right now. You can't see it at home. But you also see the mail trucks, and that's kind of just a sign that things, again, as we move on, we're 8 days after the storm now, that we're slowly starting to get back to normal. Mail delivery should be up and running for a lot of you, but you do have some options if you're not able to stay in your home, which is the case for so many people. So if you think you're going to be back in your home within the next 30 days, you can choose to just have the post office hold your mail. That's one option. They will keep it for you, and you can go pick it up there at the postal service anytime. Or you can wait to have it delivered after those 30 days. Now, you can also file a change of address form with the post office, and basically that would have your mail delivered to a location where maybe you'll be staying until you can get your house back into a place where you can go in and live in it. So those are some options for you as you're getting your mail. And again, if you need links or anything, we've got this info on our website, fox4now.com.
It's good information to know, because as you and I were walking around New Haven Circle here, one of the harder hits area in Harlem Heights, a lot of folks were still here, but a lot of folks displaced. Some of these houses already gutted just 8 days after the storm.
Yeah, and really when you walk up and down the streets, it was amazing. Trent and I got here at sunrise, and we started just walking around to see what people are dealing with here in Harlem Heights. And you saw people young and old, all ages. We saw a woman, I would say probably in her, mid-60s, dragging an entire basketball hoop.
The whole thing.
Away from the house across the street. And they're just really trying to get the stuff out of the home, onto the curb so it can be hauled away. Trash pickup has resumed in most places. We see those garbage trucks out. We know that FEMA is providing assistance from the federal government to pick up the debris that we're seeing across Southwest Florida. So hopefully sooner than later, the picture won't look like this and we won't have piles of this debris sitting on the side of the road. They are working hard to do that.
Just around the corner, Amy,
Yeah.
we met a family. two sisters and their mother, who was the one pulling the basketball hoop, who we talked to about how high the water got in their house. Because when you walk around the neighborhood, you think at first, like, okay, maybe it was 1, 2, 3. It's every house here that had 4 to 5 feet of water in it.
Yeah, because there's water all around the Harlem Heights area, and it came up and it flooded these homes that sit a lot lower than the new construction around them. So Brisa is one of the women that I was able to talk to, and she was kind enough to let us go inside her home and see what she and her family are dealing with. Take a look. Yes, wow. Wow, yeah, you can see the line here. Be careful, Travis, because it's slippery. And then if you look towards the kitchen, you can see the water. And is that just mud from outside?
Well, I'm gonna guess it might be. No, when we opened the door, it was already here, so it might have been like whatever flood water came in through here.
Is somebody a Marine? Who is that?
No, that's my brother.
That's your brother.
Yeah.
Okay, and does he live here in Southwest Florida?
He doesn't live here in the house, but he does live in apartments down there.
That's awesome. So tell me, when you guys came back, because you said you went to a shelter during the storm, did you expect this, and what was your feeling when you saw this?
Well, we didn't really expect it, because I think at first it was a Category 3, and then it just kept changing, and the path was always changing, so we didn't really expect it. I don't think anyone in the neighborhood actually expected it to be that high, because I know a lot of people didn't evacuate.
Are you just in kind of shock still, or because you seem really good? I know this is so much for everyone to deal with. You have such a positive attitude.
I think we're really just thankful that we evacuated, because I know some of my parents' friends didn't evacuate, and they're like in shock, like I know they don't want to leave their house or anything, so I think we're just really thankful that we weren't here when it happened and stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brisa, for talking to us. I appreciate it. Brisa, when she was talking to us, is we didn't expect this, and that's what we're hearing from so many people across Southwest Florida. We knew this was a big storm. We didn't know which way it was going to wobble when it came off the coast of Cuba, and nobody expected what we're dealing with here in Southwest Florida right now. It's pretty amazing.
There's a couple things to that, Amy. Every storm's different. We talk about that, right? Charlie was a very small storm, not a lot of surge with that one across Lee into Collier County. Irma, when it made landfall in Collier County, all the surge went into that 10,000 island area. The surge was there. It went up past Tamiami Trail where it intersects with State Road 29, but we had the reverse surge across much of Charlotte and Lee County for that storm. So I think people get a little lackadaisical when they hear like, oh, but I've been through 4 since my time here. That's why we always say like every storm's different. This one, we always talk about the worst case scenario here with a storm coming up the Caloosahatchee. Unfortunately, we got a monster hurricane, a borderline Category 5, 2 miles per hour shy at one point, made landfall with 150 mile per hour winds. And we had that storm surge, which was forecast to be up to 18 feet. It's something this area hasn't seen, even though there have been generations after generations of family that haven't left this 2-3 block area.
Yeah, and one of those families told a volunteer that we were speaking to that they climbed out of their window. The water came so high in their house. They got on a pontoon boat that happened to be floating nearby, and they rode out Hurricane Ian on a pontoon boat. It's still sitting in their yard. We hope to show that to you in a little bit here on Fox 4. It's unbelievable, some of the stories we're hearing, but there's a lot of help out there. There's so many smiling faces giving out food and water, so we want to, of course, let you know about all of those places. You can find these on our website anytime. If you're in Charlotte County, the Red Cross is giving out water, food, cleanup kits, and they're doing that today at St. Mary's Baptist Church. That's located at 605 Mary Street in Punta Gorda. You can go anytime between 12 and 6 every day, and they'll be giving that stuff out while supplies last. You can also contact the Charlotte County Emergency Operations Center if you have more information, or if you want more information. And all of that information, again, should be there on your screen.
Behind me here, you can see the group of volunteers that are working so hard to help these individuals remove the debris. You'll also see box springs and mattresses all down New Haven Circle here. And almost every house, imagine you walk around your home right now, look at everything about 4 to 5 feet high, has to go.
Yeah.
And every bed, children's beds, adults, they're gone. So something very important here from the Furniture Warehouse in Port Charlotte. They're giving away free mattresses this morning. That started at 10 o'clock. Been going on about an hour and a half. The address is here on your screen. You do have to have proof of your address to get that free mattress, but there are so many people here in Southwest Florida in need of some of the things that we take for granted each night.
Yeah, and we know we're throwing a lot of information at you. We live in a beautiful area with so many different cities and pockets, and there's help in all of those locations. So we just want you to know there is one easy easy to find location where you can get all of the information that pertains to you and your family. So I want to show you this QR code. It's really easy to use if you have a smartphone. You just open up your camera, point it at the TV at that square, and then this little yellow link will pop up on the screen of your phone. You tap that and it will take you directly to the place where you can go to the Fox 4 app and the Fox 4 website. We've got these lists compiled for you because, again, there is so much help. The National Guard is serving food and water in locations across Southwest Florida. They're going to be transitioning to meal tents where they're going to be cooking 3 hot meals a day. I can't name all of the charities that are doing good work across Southwest Florida. So, again, fox4now.com is a great resource for you to be able to find that information, because we know obviously we're giving you a lot here every day as we continue to follow the recovery efforts. Southwest Florida is a strong community, and we're going to get through this together.
We are. It is 11:30 right now, and we're going to take a couple of minutes here to reset and regroup. We've got more stories to share, and we'll do that coming up in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Good morning, 11:32. Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 4 Morning News. We are continuing our coverage of the cleanup and recovery process across Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian. And man, are we seeing some great work happening. We're in Harlem Heights this morning, if you're not familiar with that community. It is just off of Gladiolus Drive in Fort Myers. It's a community where a lot of people have spent their entire lives. And unfortunately, they're looking at a lot of devastation from Hurricane Ian, a lot of flooding, Trent.
Yeah, storm surge up to 4 to 5 feet here, and block by block we went this morning. It's the same story for every family. All the contents in their home now on the side of the street.
Yeah, so I want to bring in a gentleman named David Loudon, and he's one of the many volunteers that's kind of descended upon Harlem Heights. So thank you for talking with us. We appreciate it. First, let's talk about what you guys are doing today, because the Heights Foundation is doing awesome work. The Rotary is doing awesome work. So you guys are out here. What are you doing for these people?
Well, the Heights Foundation really teamed up with the Sanibel Captiva Rotary Club, and we have people actually all over Southwest Florida from Rotary coming in to help, bringing supplies. You can see we're clearing debris out of people's yards. We're helping them empty their houses. We've been cutting out drywall. Basically, whatever needs to be done. Most of these homes are going to need to be gutted. Unfortunately, a lot of these people are still living in the homes. They've got nowhere else to go. So we're doing what we can to help make these places livable. So it's a big job, and we need more volunteers. So if you want to come out and help, by all means, come on out.
And so if someone is watching right now and they feel called to do that, how would they get in touch with you guys?
You can show up at the Heights Center. We'll be there tomorrow and the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning. So volunteers, we have all kinds of supplies, free food. The more people, the better. It's great work. You can see these families need this help, and please come out. We'd love to have you help us.
So you've been in these homes like Trent and I have, and I think a lot of people are just getting reconnected to the world, right? They're just getting power on. They're just getting their cell service to be able and kind of see what's happening across Southwest Florida. You were telling me some stories earlier, amazing stories of people that you met that rode out the storm. One stuck out to me in particular because they had to climb onto a boat outside of their house. Can you kind of walk me through what you're seeing here in this community?
Well, you have to realize most of these homes here, this is kind of old Lee County. These houses were built in the 50s and 60s. They're lower elevation. So these people had 4 or 5 feet of water in their house. They had nowhere to go. Some of them were climbing out the windows and swimming, trying to figure out. Some of them went to higher ground at their neighbor's house. There is a house down the street where the gentleman, his son got out of the house and tied the pontoon boat to the side of the house, and the family crawled out the window. They all took shelter in the boat.
Riding out that storm in a boat. I was in a building, and I know how scary it was from inside a building. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, they rode through the whole storm sitting in a boat on the edge of the house. So we've been hearing a lot of stories, amazing survival. This is a big part of Lee County here. This is the old farming communities of Fort Myers, where all the Gladiolus farms used to be. So these people have a lot of roots, so we're here to help.
And we cannot thank you guys enough for the important work you're doing. I know it's emotional, it's tough. I can imagine that you're dealing with your own thing at home. You said you worked on Sanibel Island as well?
Yes, I work for the Bank of the Islands on Sanibel. Our office is closed right now. We do have an office open in Fort Myers, right across from Bell Tower. So we're here to help any way we can, and please let us know what we can do. I grew up partially on Sanibel and an old 1960s home, so I know what these older homes are like.
It's hard. It's hard to look at our beautiful community and see what's happening here. It breaks my heart. I know it breaks so many hearts, but I think the one thing that's keeping me going and positive are people like you who are in our community and who are giving back and helping these people And, you know, I see people with smiles on their faces, and it just warms your heart. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's going to get better. We're out here doing it day by day, and come join us tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock at the Heights Center. We've got all kinds of free food, supplies, and Bank of the Islands is doing everything they can to help the community. We're looking forward to reopening on Sanibel, bringing people back to the island, and rebuilding Lee County. So
you're doing awesome work. We appreciate you. I know you have a million things to be doing and not talking to me, so thank you for stopping by and sharing that with us.
Thank you very much.
And take care.
Thank
awesome.
you.
So again, if you
Thank
want
you,
that,
David.
we'll make sure to post information on where you go for the Heights Community Center, so that if you do want to volunteer, you know, the advice is to wear pants and wear boots. We're going to put the microphone down there because we don't have too much space on our stand to put it there. But it's awesome. Like it's so encouraging. You see all this destruction and damage, and then you see these people. They have damage too. They lost stuff too,
sure.
and they're helping others. And that's what Southwest Florida is about. I grew up here. That's what Southwest Florida is about.
All right, so when we were around this community this morning, we got to meet a lot of folks right after sunrise, and to hear their stories, to meet these individuals and put a face to the families that need the help was inspirational for me. But there was one little guy that stuck out, and we were walking down, I believe it was New Haven Circle. We went around the corner, and all of a sudden we hear beep, 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 beep. And
Just like that.
It wasn't the dad pushing the buttons,
Yeah.
but Carlos. We talked to him and his son Ezekiel. He's one, about what it was like here during the storm and what their plans are moving forward. I'll let Carlos tell his story.
I'm born and raised Harlem Heights for about 32 years. Well, I'm 32 years old, so I'm born and raised Health Park, and I've been raised here in Harlem Heights my whole life.
What's it feel like to look around and see your home like this?
It's devastating. Like I told her, we just driving around, it makes you want to break down. My grandfather lives on the back street, and his whole home is completely gone, man. Like gone. We had to get back there when the storm came through and all this was flooded. I mean, like to the window seals. You see the windows there? Mm-hmm. The water was completely up to the windows, inside the windows. These people couldn't move, so we had to get back here. I had to walk my grandfather on a canoe all the way out with his little damn chihuahua. It was horrible, man. We weren't expecting that. You know, they tell you to evacuate, but we didn't take it serious. You know.
Yeah. What's next? What do you guys do?
Rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's one thing. We're not going to be defeated. As a whole, this community, we stick together and we rebuild. So I know for a fact we'll be, and you know, it's going to take some time, a long time. This community is full of business owners. That's one thing. We're proud. Landscapers, all type of business owners. So we all work together and we're going to rebuild.
I needed that little smile from Ezekiel today and the little horn toot, because if that doesn't bring a smile to your face, I don't know what will. But that's the message from a lot of people that we're hearing from, and they're going to stay, they're going to work hard, they're going to rebuild. If you have damage and you need help, there's so many resources, insurance villages you can go to have help walking through the process of filing your insurance claims, or even if you don't have insurance, filing through FEMA. So all of that is on our website. Again, it's fox4now.com. It's a great place to go for information.
All right, it's 11:40, Amy. When we come back, we're going to hear from John Barron one more time here. He's been down at Collier County, where schools are back in session today.
Schools are back in session.
And we will talk to John coming up here in just a few minutes.
We'll be right back. 11:42 right now on your Thursday morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 4 Morning News. I'm Amy Wegmann.
And I'm Trent Aric. We continue to see FPL trucks come by, crews from out of state. They are trying their best to get this community here in Harlem Heights back up and running.
Yeah, and we're broadcasting from Harlem Heights this morning to just show you another pocket of Southwest Florida that's dealing with intense damage. It's going to be a while before things get back to normal here, before kids go back to school in Lee County. We don't even have a start date yet for Lee or Charlotte County. That's not the case for Collier County, though. Today, Collier County kids are back in school, and I know parents probably, it's just a relief to be able to get some stuff done and structure for the kids, a little bit of normalcy, if you will. Let's go check in with John Barron. He is at Lawn Elementary in Naples. And John, I know you were talking with some parents. What were they saying about being able to bring their kids back to school after this really life-changing event?
Well, see, that's the thing, Amy, is I actually got the chance to speak with a couple parents that did point out that it's one of those things that it's unfortunate what happened, and one of those things that they're trying everything they can to just kind of get past it and move forward after Hurricane Ian made landfall in Southwest Florida, devastating many of us. And they just said it was an opportunity for their kids to kind of decompress and get out of that anxious setting of not having that everyday setting. That they go to school, they come home, and that's a part of their lives. And that was one woman said to me actually when she got here early this morning, almost 2 hours before school, and she said that she was just thankful to hear that the teachers were all back in class and that they had over 800 substitute teachers on the line just in case, you know, that 22% of the Lee County, Collier County teachers that are actually out there in Lee County that, you know, that are kind of right now still trying to process what's happening, still trying to get over what happened and just trying to get their power on. And that's what she was saying, was that she was happy to see that these teachers were already setting up and getting ready for day one of the restart.
So it means a lot. I just spoke to the kids' teacher. I saw her walking in this morning, and she's excited to see him back at school today, and that means the world to me because she was just looking forward to getting back, and her family had some damage on her home. So I'm just glad to see her back today, and they should have a great day at school today.
And we also spoke with the superintendent. She was speaking today here at Shadow Lawn, and she was saying that it's one of those things that they want to do everything they can for the families and the community here in Collier County, really all of Southwest Florida, but specifically here in Collier County, because this is taking effect that they want to make sure these parents are not having to worry about feeding their kids for breakfast and lunch. So Collier County schools right now are taking care of that, breakfast and lunch right now, all the way through October 31st. Now, I spoke with the superintendent, and I asked her specifically, do you think that you're going to go past October 31st for some of those families that might have been truly super impacted to the point where they're worried about their meals for their kids? And she said it's one of those things that they're looking at a prolonged series. Right now, Collier County is paying for this out of their own pocket, but once October 31st comes, they'll try to reassess what's going to happen, and then they'll figure out a long-term goal. For now, that's all we have for you here in Collier County. John Barron, Fox 4.
All right, thank you for that, John. Live at Shadow Lawn Elementary in Naples, a good update there. Another thing that we know, as they're getting the power on, a lot of people would really just love to take a hot shower, and there are some options popping up across Southwest Florida. I know some of my friends who are volunteering with their church in Cape Coral said that they're bringing in these portable showers, and we're seeing that across the area.
Yeah, the Cape Coral Fire Department, we saw these facilities yesterday, really nice, and like you mentioned, a hot shower goes a long way, lifting some spirits. They've opened a hygiene station, the Cape Coral Fire Department, for people who don't have power back on yet or even running water, and it's going to be open every day. It opened this morning at 8 o'clock, and it runs until 7. Now, this is at Jim Jeffers Park. The station has showers, bathrooms, a cooling area, which is nice in the afternoon, charging stations for your phones, laptops, iPads, any way you need to communicate here during the power outages, plus some laundry services. That's been important for a lot of folks in the last few days. And just make sure you bring your own supplies, because the city will not provide them. So soap, shampoo, towels, bring them along with you. But you got a hot shower, and you have a place to charge your phone and even cool off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that you might be looking for, some healthcare services. Maybe you can't get to your doctor yet. I know I got a message from mine, an automated message just saying they're not up and running yet. Right. So there are some options out there for you. The Department of Health in Collier County is providing services to people in need from Lee County. So you can make an appointment there with the Department of Health in Collier County, even if you're living in Lee County. You can call the number that you see on your screen. It's 239-252-8200. Another really good option, Lee Health has made their telehealth services free. I've used it myself, super easy. You download an app, and you are face-to-face with a doctor within minutes, and they can prescribe medications. Perhaps you lost yours. You know, people lost everything here in the Harlem Heights community. Maybe, you had to evacuate and you forgot it and you're staying with someone else right now. So they can work you through that. And the governor even lifted the red tape, if you will, so that doctors can re-prescribe those prescriptions. So that's an easy way to do it, Lee Telehealth. And again, it's free right now.
Yeah, Amy, the devastation you see behind us, you walk around and you can't help but think just how much damage was done here across the state. And you look at some of the early estimates here with the damage from Hurricane Ian, and just in Florida alone, we're upwards of $55 billion.
Yeah, the damage is astonishing, if you will. It's like nothing we've ever seen in the state of Florida. So we want to go toss to CNN's Boris Sanchez, because he is showing us how a Southwest Florida business is really beginning the slow process of recovery.
Used to be a real nice place to watch sunsets.
It's the used to be's.
You try to tell them how bad it is, and you just can't believe it until you see it.
That are left in heaps of debris all along the Southwest Florida coast. Also lost, a lot of businesses and a lot of jobs. This is Parrot Key Caribbean Grill at Salty Sam's Marina before Hurricane Ian. This is the restaurant and marina now.
In the parking lot, we must have had about 12 feet of water. And so everything on first floor was totally destroyed. So all our gift stores and restaurants and everything, they've lost all their inventory. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars that each business lost.
Daryl Hansen has owned Salty Sam's for more than 20 years, a labor of love, and now a labor of restoration.
So we're down here 12 hours or better a day trying to piece it back together.
The work, though, is not lonely.
The employees have all come together, and they're, excuse me, they're all out there working their butt off. I got waitresses that are shoveling mud, and service techs that are shoveling mud, and we're cleaning up garbage and moving pieces of aluminum and wood, moving everything we can to try to get back to business. People are just working their butts off. I can't say enough about my employees.
Employees like Thailanders.
Most of us lost our homes, and this is our home away from home, so we're clinging on to what we have.
Everybody's got a story. We don't expect them to come in, but sometimes they still come in. And I think sometimes just to get away from it and have hugs.
Another painful aspect of the recovery in Southwest Florida is the uncertainty. A lot of business owners still don't know if they will be able to reopen or restart operations. And for many employees, like roughly 200 here at Parrot Key, a lot of them lost everything, and many don't know when they're going to get their next paycheck.
My employees want to open up a grill outside and start selling food so they get back to doing what they do.
But here for Daryl and his team, as well as for thousands across the storm-battered region, it's going to be a long time before things return to normal. Boris Sanchez, CNN, Fort Myers Beach, Florida.
That area there, Salty Sam's, was one that I was wondering about right after the storm. One of my favorite places to go grab a sandwich, drink, and before you head over the bridge to Fort Myers Beach. So glad to hear that so many of their employees are pitching in to help get that place back up and running.
Yeah, and there's so many boats that were kind of tossed around in those marinas near Salty Sam's and on the bay side of Fort Myers Beach. So we've been hearing that the cleanup crews, they're still working out how to get all of those boats out of the area. Some might be a lift with a crane, and some might even just be cut up into small pieces and removed. But again, that work is happening, and we're so happy to see that he's got all that help there at Salty Sam's. We are going to take a quick break. It's 11:52. You're watching continuing coverage of the recovery here in Southwest Florida after Hurricane Ian. I'm Amy Wegmann alongside Trent Aric. We'll be back in just a few. 11:54 right now. Welcome back to Fox 4 Morning News. I'm Amy Wegmann alongside Trent Aric, and we are broadcasting live this morning from Harlem Heights. It's a community in Fort Myers, just off Gladiolus Drive, a community where a lot of people have spent their entire lives, and unfortunately a community where the people here lost a lot. That's because water flooded these homes. If you see behind me, you can see some of the contents of their house. In fact, most of the contents of their house piled up along the curb here in Harlem Heights, and that is the case street after street after street. We were fortunate enough to meet some people who walked us through what they've been through. Javier is one of them. If you see, I don't know if you can see it behind me, that red semi-truck, he's living out of that truck right now. His home's right behind it, and he had 4 feet of water inside his home during the storm with 2 kids inside. Javier was so gracious to let us come inside his house and see what he's dealing with right now, and we want to share that story with you. This is Javier, and he's telling me that he rode out the storm here and that the water came up 4 feet. Show me where the water was when you were inside. That's so scary. If you look on his front lawn, you can see literally the contents of his house, the mattress, the ironing board, some of the furniture, the toys. He has 2 kids, and he told me that he had to go rescue his 85-year-old neighbor. Can you show us inside your house? Yeah, can we come inside? You can see the sludge. Hold on, be careful, Travis. 1 second. Oh my goodness. So is this the water line? Is this the line here? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, yeah, wow. And so when the water was in here, you said you drove over to the school because it's on higher ground?
Yeah, outside. Inside, a little in the door, when open the door,
water just came flooding in. Wow. Yeah, you can see. Wow. I'm so sorry. So are you guys going to rip the drywall out, or what's your plan? Are you going to stay here?
No, it take care of for I had the water the water is
like mold.
Mold, yeah.
Yeah, mold. Yeah, you got to be careful. I'm so sorry. It's hard to see in person, but I think what's really amazed me, we've been here since the sun was coming up, was just the positivity that the community here in Harlem Heights has. And I'm seeing that across Southwest Florida. You know, I think it would be easy to just shut down and break down, especially as we're getting days and days in and the reality of what we're dealing with here in Southwest Florida is sinking in. But we're seeing the smiles and the handshakes and the hugs, and it's really nice to see.
It is. It's an appreciation. You look at what they're going through there at Javier's household. You walk in, you see that this is us. The pictures of the family on the wall, everything from 5 feet down is out. Yeah. And they're feeding themselves by cooking on a camp stove set outside their front door. A little makeshift kitchen, if you will, after theirs was destroyed. But like you said, he was so gracious to walk us through what happened to him, share his story, because he knows right down the street here at the community center, there's help. There's hot food, there's water, and there are people here from all across the country and Southwest Florida helping give a hand in this situation.
Yeah, and we're going to be hearing from the governor. He's going to be talking at 1:15, is that right? I just want to make sure I have that right. Yeah, 1:15 this afternoon in Nokomis, and that's an area, Trent, that was close to where a lot of the eye went, right? Nokomis?
Yeah, the northern side of that eye wall went right through there, and he's going to be speaking at the Pelican Alley restaurant today. And that Nokomis, Venice area, Nokomis is right there north of the Venice airport. It's an area that I frequent a lot with my kid. I go shark tooth hunting, and a lot of those homes up there as well are what we call old Florida, right? Yeah. They were built out of wood frames. Roof's not up to code, so there was definitely a lot of damage. Then you add on all that rainfall we saw on the backside of the storm, and the areas around Northport, Inglewood, up through there, 15 to 20 inches, and the Peace River still at flood stage, but down from the record-breaking 21.5 feet it was at.
Yeah. So maybe you're watching our coverage today or through the past several days and thinking, I want to help. I need to help. We have volunteers in the community here at Harlem Heights today. They are in and out of these houses. I see them carrying drywall and bags of debris, and they're just working to get those homes at least in the shape where they're easier to get in and out of. We went in a few today, and it's just dangerous to be inside. But more volunteers are needed. Volunteer Florida is a great website where you can go and you can sign up, and they'll kind of dispatch you across our area, let you know where they need help. But if you're in Cape Coral and you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, we want to let you know about this one. Cape Christian Church needs volunteers. We're looking for about 40 to 60 people. I know they got a few yesterday, but they're basically going to be putting the volunteers to work in 3 shifts each, giving out food. They prepared 20,000 sandwiches, and those folks are going out into people's yards and their homes, cleaning up and giving them food. So if you want to help with Cape Christian, an easy way to get in touch with them is to text Cape Vol, CAPEVOL, to the number 94000. Now, if you're someone that needs help and you would like them to show up to you, text Cape C, as in Cape Coral, Cape C, to 94000. You'll give your name, your address, just follow the prompts there, and they can get you that kind of information. And we're seeing so many of these churches. I know Christian Life Fellowship, they brought in these they're like trailers, essentially, where you can shower. One of my friends is a member of that church, and she said 20 linemen showed up to take showers who haven't been able to stop because they've been working around the clock. That's what we're seeing across Southwest Florida, and it's just so awesome.
Yeah, and it's county by county. We're going to move up to Charlotte here, where the Charlotte County Volunteer Reception Center, they're now open for individuals who'd like to offer their skills. We've seen so many people in this community here in Harlem Heights walking around. We've heard the chainsaws, even if it's just simply picking up debris and moving stuff. Every set of hands helps. You're going to want to register to do that. To go to the VRC, which is the Volunteer Reception Center. It's located at 227 Sullivan Street in Punta Gorda. The zip code is 33950. They're open from 7 to 11, so they're closed for today, but they're open daily. So you can pick them back up tomorrow at 7 a.m. Now, if you've already registered in the past at the website you see on your screen, coadflorida.org, that site, if you're interested or if you've done it before, you don't have to volunteer or register again. You just come out, volunteer, they'll place you. And again, that's the Charlotte County Volunteer Reception Center.
We've got so much good information on our website, places you can volunteer, free tarps for your roofs, places to go for food and water. You can find all of it right now when you go to fox4now.com. It's a great resource as we are dealing with the recovery here in Southwest Florida. It is 12:01 on the nose. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
After the wind, the rain, and the powerful waves, this is what Hurricane Ian left in its path. Entire islands blown away, bridges ripped apart, homes left flooded, and belongings lost forever.
I have nothing. Bunch of dirty clothes and a lot of laundry.
But despite the destruction, people are working together to rebuild today. We have teams across Southwest Florida to bring you stories of survival.
And I was just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and just everybody I know, and they just kept me going in my mind.
Stories of communities coming together.
It doesn't happen in your hometown. So if we can just give somebody that 5-10 minutes of stress relief, come in, like I said, get your hair shampooed, have a hot dog, a cheeseburger, a cold drink, just a pat on the back or a hug.
And updates from community leaders about the recovery process. Everything you need to know after the storm, coming up on Fox 4 Morning News.
And good afternoon, 12:05 right now on your Thursday. And I'm Amy Wegmann alongside Trent, Aric, and we are here live broadcasting from the Harlem Heights community in Fort Myers because this is a community, if you're not familiar with it, off Gladiolas. That's an old community in Southwest Florida. Some of the people who live here have lived here their entire lives, and unfortunately, some of them have truly lost everything. You can see over our shoulders all of the contents of people's homes lining the streets, and that's not just this street, street after street here in Harlem Heights. That is the sad reality.
Yeah, it was tough to see when we first got here this morning, but what has been kind of a ray of light, if you will, have been all the volunteers, the FPL linemen we've seen come in and just boost the energy in this place. I look around and you can't help but get overwhelmed, like where do you start? What step do you take? Yeah. But every person here so far has been optimistic that they're going to stay and rebuild, because you're talking about generations of people who have called this home.
Yeah, eventually we will get back to some sense of normalcy, and while we're in Lee County, Fort Myers specifically, there's a sense of a bit of normalcy happening in Collier County today. Lee County schools aren't going back. We don't know a date right now. Charlotte County's the same way, but in Collier, kids went back to school today. I know our John Barron is live there. He's at an elementary school, Shadowlawn Elementary in Naples, where he was able to talk to Kamala Patton. She is the Collier County school superintendent. I can imagine it's a lot to see not only your own school district, but your neighboring school districts and what we've been through here. John, what did the superintendent express? And I know you talked to some families as well.
Yeah, Amy, so when you talk about that, I did speak with some families. They're in high spirits at this point in time because they get to kind of get back into somewhat of a routine. But when you talk about Lee County, like you said, we're not sure about them or Charlotte County, really even DeSoto County, as to when we could see them come back into a setting of school. But when you talk about Lee County looking for an opportunity to kind of have that conversation, the school board will be having their meeting and having a conversation about that as far as a timeline we could actually expect coming up on Friday. But the superintendent superintendent did speak here to Collier County and had an opportunity to kind of tell us a little bit more about what we're expecting here. Now, this is the first day of the restart. We can kind of call it that after Hurricane Ian made its way here through Southwest Florida just a week ago. But what she was saying was the parents are looking in high spirits, the teachers are doing the same, but they also are doing everything they can to help the families out here in Southwest Florida, even here in Collier County, by providing breakfast and lunch right now all the way till October 31st. Listen, just kind of take a listen to what she was talking about as to why they did this and what the future plans are in the future.
So what the district decided, we'll just take that hit on our end for finances for till the end of October and then get with the state to see if we can't piggyback onto a system that they have in place that we could tap into. So we already have someone we're working with, but we didn't want to wait for that. We'd rather just absorb those costs for right now, and it gives parents at least 3 weeks that they know don't think about running to the store for school.
Now, I'm going to reiterate that one more time. She says that those meal plans here in Collier County are going to go through October 31st. That's breakfast and lunch. They're doing that to kind of give families here a reprieve and a chance to kind of catch their breath and assess the damage of their own homes. But really what she said, like she was just talking about, they're looking for a more permanent basis for after October 31st. Right now, they are paying for that out of their own pocket, like she was saying, and she got very emotional talking about what they're doing here in this community, even with these teachers, and talking a little bit more about what the future plan is here in Collier County. We're going to send it back to you guys out there, Amy and Trent, but for now, here live in Collier County, John Barron, Fox 4.
So good to hear that kids are getting back to school, and not only is it a little normalcy for the parents, but also for the kids to kind of reignite with people their own age and kind of lean on each other, a little buddy system to get through everything we've experienced in the last 8 days. Can't believe it's been that long already.
It's a lot for adults. I can only imagine what kids are resilient, but it's a lot to process for them too. The sights they're taking in. I have twin 3-year-olds, and they are asking me all kinds of questions about what's going on. So I think it's great that Collier County's back in school. Glades and Hendry are back in school. Lee and Charlotte are working on the plans. Charlotte County expects October 24th, and Lee County's working on a plan as we speak.
Yeah, so we're going to move to Cape Coral here because today, starting noon, 10 minutes ago, the community church is giving out hot food, and it's courtesy of the American Red Cross. You want to take a look at your screen if you need a hot meal this afternoon. Again, it's going right now. The address, it's off Santa Barbara Boulevard. It's 811 Santa Barbara Boulevard. Hot meals starting at noon today, courtesy of the Red Cross, and that's at the Cape Coral Community Church.
We know with power out, a lot of people need cash because that's how you're buying things right now. As power is expected to be on this weekend, of course, more credit cards and debit cards will be taken. But if you need to get cash and you haven't been able to, the Bank of America has deployed temporary mobile ATMs, and these are across several locations in Southwest Florida. They're going to be adding more locations this week. They're going to send updates when those mobile ATMs are up and running, and of course, we'll be sure to let you know. But right now, you're looking at the locations that they are planning on setting up first and foremost on your screen. So if you need to get cash, you can go ahead and do that.
FEMA continues to offer their support as well. We heard from President Biden a few days ago about the federal government kicking in not only roughly just under $40,000, $37,900 for your property, but also for personal losses. And we heard him mention even if it's down to a wedding ring that you need replaced. Well, some of that information, you've got disasterassistance.gov.
Yep.
The phone number, you've heard us say several times, 1-800-621-3362. That website, those numbers are going to help the eligible counties, which include Lee, Charlotte, Collier, and DeSoto counties, help get assistance here as we put the pieces back together. It's a daunting task, but that website and that phone number, they're there to help.
Yeah, and the big important message from FEMA is they're there to help, but if you have homeowner insurance or if you lost your car and you should have car insurance, obviously it's a law here in the state of Florida, you need to file those claims first and have a claim number before you go to FEMA, because that's going to be the process that needs to happen. So again, disasterassistance.gov is a great place to go. Insurance, like we've been saying, it's like overwhelming almost. How do you start this process? There are villages and places across Southwest Florida you can go for help. But we've been hearing that, maybe homeowners insurance isn't enough to cover some of the damage that we're seeing. Maybe your policy is not enough. So Sophia Hernandez is breaking down what that might mean for you and where you can go for help.
We know that once the water gets that high, especially salt water, that it was almost a total loss.
Michael Carlson is a construction worker, father of 2, and homeowner. He can't even begin to calculate the damage.
Was there anything from your business that was salvageable?
I don't think so.
He's got friends and family helping to pick up the pieces. His brother called FEMA, setting Michael up with an appointment. He has not heard back, so he's looking to see what can be done.
My insurance company gave us a couple different answers. Find a contractor and start tearing out the walls. Then they called back and said, don't touch it. So we don't know.
Michael also says what could hurt him and others is not having coverage for water intrusion.
As far as everybody I know in this neighborhood, not one single person has rising water. They got the regular hurricane insurance. Unfortunately, nobody ever really thought it would get this high because it never has.
His faith in what assistance he can get is menial.
I'm afraid this is going to be a different situation.
But it's there.
Maritza.
In Laguna Lake's Fort Myers, insurance companies, FEMA, and state agencies say they are here to serve.
Someone will be in touch with us within the next 5 days.
For Maritza Morales, her damage was minimal compared to most, but she was impressed by how much could be done.
They're issuing checks right now to people, so that's what we're waiting for.
Those checks are additional living expenses up to $10,000 provided on a case-by-case basis. It's something many received. But Michael says he will just have to keep waiting. Sophia Hernandez.
It's good information. And, again, if you are feeling overwhelmed by the process of filing your insurance claims or even filing for FEMA, there's so much help. We're in Harlem Heights off Gladiolus, and just down the street from us at the Lakes Regional Library, the parking lot is full with trucks and vans and tables and tents. And these people are there to help you file your claims and process your wind and damage claims and your flood claims. So just know that there is help there. And if you don't know where to go, if you don't know other addresses, maybe you don't live near the Lakes Regional Library, you can go to our website. We've got a full list of locations for help at fox4now.com.
When Amy and I arrived here this morning, and if you're just tuning in, we are at Harlem Heights, an area just south of Gladiolus and Fort Myers. And we're here because through social media and through our email and phone calls to Fox 4, this was a community that for a bit almost felt forgotten, cut off.
Yeah.
And when we walked around today, it was easy to see why that they were calling for so much help.
It's unreal to see what's behind us. And this isn't just, we didn't pick one street because this is the only street that looks like this here in Harlem Heights. Street after street after street, you see everything from people's homes just outside. And so Trent and I wanted to we're tethered here right now because we're trying to bring you all the information that you need to know to get through the recovery process. But we wanted to walk around and show you what we're seeing on the roads here in Harlem Heights. So take a look at that. So we just kind of want to walk you down the street because when you are here in Harlem Heights, as far as you can see down the road, it seems like the contents of people's homes, all of it is just on the sidewalk, piled up high. When we talked to residents, Trent and I were able to meet a couple people. The water was up 4 feet, some a little higher. And you see all the personal stuff. I mean, we're talking about pictures, boogie boards, printers, Nerf guns, furniture. They truly lost everything when we went in and we were able to talk to these people. Trent, talk to me a little bit about, they didn't expect this. The folks who live here in Harlem Heights, these are people who have been here their entire life, 30 years, 50 years, 85-year-old woman has been here 60 years. So these are people who have grown up here. They've never seen anything like this. So we're near water here, right? Why did they see so much flooding?
There's a couple of factors going on. This was a storm that broke records. It was a large hurricane coming at us the wrong direction. So we saw the storm surge. But what makes this area unique, you told me stories about you growing up here. This used to be farmland. You grew up picking strawberries, you told me. This was a very low-lying area, and now not only do you have the water coming from Fort Myers Beach into Estero Bay, you have the Caloosahatchee 2 miles over. It's a low spot. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, with the development of Southwest Florida, driving around this morning, you could see areas around here from Gladiolus South where they've built up some 7 feet. So this is the first time in generations that we've had this type of storm surge, and now this acts like a bowl. Yeah. It collects water. And block by block, we walked this morning, and all we keep hearing is 4 to 5 feet of water in every house.
Yeah, when you look over in the front yards, I mean, there's not a single home where you're not finding all of the appliances, the washing machines, cars are being aired out. And then you look around and you see the little personal things that just as a mom and a dad tug on your heartstrings, the little ride-on toy for the little boys and girls, the Christmas paper. It's devastating here in Harlem Heights, but I will say the one thing everyone we've talked to so far in this community has said, they're not going anywhere and they plan on rebuilding, and it's amazing to see how strong they are.
Walking around here this morning, Amy, I don't know that I've ever seen worse damage except walking through the 9th Ward after Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. I visited that area with the former director of the National Hurricane Center, Max Mayfield. That was such a different setup because you had the levee there from Lake Pontchartrain that just flooded an entire community of the 9th Ward. That water went up to the ceilings and rooftops as well. The only difference here is now you're seeing the contents from the homes brought out. Their homes were destroyed, flooded out, but people weren't there afterwards because the water stayed so high.
Right.
So now you're seeing the recovery effort 8 days in, and just to see everything 4 to 5 feet tall taken out to the streets and people starting over from scratch, it's heartbreaking.
Oh, it's horrific, but you know, we see a lot of help. We see a lot of volunteers here in the Harlem Heights community. I know people are working in communities across Southwest Florida, and so there is positivity, right? As we are going to get through this together. It's going to be a long road, but we've already seen some amazing work. The bridges and roads to through Matlacha to Pine Island done in 3 days. They're saying by the end of the month there's going to be a way to drive on and off of Sanibel Island, which is cut off from the mainland right now. So we're going to continue to bring you those positive pieces of recovery that we're seeing here in Southwest Florida and keep you in touch with the information that you need to get the food and the water and the things to get your family through this. And we've got all of that on our website. It's fox4now.com. I think we're going to take a quick break right now, and it is 12:19. We'll be right back. You're watching Fox 4 News.
Welcome back. Time is 10:22. We continue our coverage here of the recovery from Hurricane Ian. We are in the neighborhood of Imperial Heights, just south of Gladiolus, as it was one of the harder hit areas by storm surge. The residents here just losing every bit of the contents of their home due to the surge. The floodwaters have been a concern with Ian all across the area, especially off to the north. But one area we watch is down in the Imperial River near Bonita Springs. We had some huge problems in that area after Hurricane Irma. Some good news is the Bonita Beach Fire Control and Rescue District is reporting, again, some just good news here, that it's declining in height, the Imperial River. Compared to Hurricane Irma that hit back in September 2017, the river was almost 13 feet, and then after Irma was about 14 feet. And then now we're looking at the flood levels descending. I was just looking at the gauges at the National Weather Service, and we are at 12.32 and continuing to come down.
That's
so
good news.
That is some good news. Peace River coming down slowly but surely as well.
Yes, we love to hear that. In Charlotte County, if you can't pay your utilities right now, there's good news there as well. The county utility is suspending temporarily late fees as well as water shutoffs for anyone who can't pay. They're doing that until further notice. Obviously, they know that so many people are dealing with a lot right now. So again, if you can't pay your water utilities in Charlotte County, just know that they're not going to shut your water off. If you live in Matlacha, people have been without power and water because obviously the road going through Matlacha went underwater, and most of it was a total loss there right along the roadway. But there are other little pockets of Matlacha that are still left behind, and they're without power and water since the hurricane hit. And Cindy Walton, she evacuated to Miami, said if she was given the choice, she would take water over electricity, and here's why.
If you had a choice between water and electric, give me water. I don't need electricity. I have a candle. I don't need to be out at night when it's dark. I've been working all day long. I don't need a light. I don't need a TV. I don't need anything. I need to be able to charge my phone, which I'm able to do, thankfully. But I need water.
I think a lot of people probably feel that way. Sure. And hopefully sooner than later by this weekend, most people, 95%, should have electricity back on. Water is flowing. The city of Fort Myers said even if you have a trickle, just know that the water's flowing, and the low pressure is by design so that they don't blow out the pipes and cause further damage. So water's coming back on across Southwest Florida. Eventually those boil water notices will be gone, and electricity for most of us should be on by the weekend. You know, one other thing that people are facing as they're dealing with us, they're trying to pick up the pieces, they're trying to clean out their homes that were damaged. They're worried about their mortgage payments, they're worried about their rent payments. Right. And some people in Southwest Florida are being told that rent is due even though they have no way to pay. So our reporter Nicole Griggs, she went to one area off Linda Loma Drive, that's in the Iona area, obviously very hard hit, and she's explaining how there's a bigger story here and why some are not asking for help.
One community advocate tells me that many who live in this part of Fort Myers, they are refugees and immigrants living in our country, and I'm told that right now their fear is greater than their need.
You look around, look at the devastation. That just gave me goosebumps. It's destroyed.
Next door, the little babies, I saw
She's
them
got
sleeping
children,
on the floor.
on the floor. There's no beds. Everything's destroyed. I mean, the walls got holes in it. There's mildew. There's dirt coming up from the ground. Nothing works. The refrigerator, there's no electric, but nothing's gonna work when it does come on.
For Melissa Harper, this is her reality.
It was devastating. Any of it's devastating.
Now she's being told by a landlord that rent is due.
He demanded his rent or he was kicking us out by Friday. And rent's been paid here for 11 years.
She's not the only one.
This is my house.
Margarita Gonzalez and her children lost everything.
Yo de a little
bird.
Okay, die no more.
Margarita speaks little English, but it's enough to know what's happening to her. Adios, pasa?
Yeah, she said adios. Adios, dice no more here. I living here 14 years. 14 years, mama. 14 years I'm living here.
Margarita and her kids told they can't stay. Many in this Linda Loma area fear if they go to a shelter, they risk deportation as they're refugees here in the U.S.
Forces you out, where will you be?
The only thing I can tell you is I have a tent. I have a tent. We have nowhere else to go.
Melissa says being forced out is part of the story that people aren't hearing.
Thank you. No, it's okay.
It's just so many of you, you know?
There's a lot of people. A lot. But thank you for coming out and getting this to the world so the world can see what we're going through.
Because you told me no one's covering this part of the story.
Nobody said anything about the story.
When it comes to the shelters in our area, I did speak with someone from the Red Cross. They tell me that if anyone comes to seek shelter, they do not ask questions when anyone comes through that door. Reporting in the Fort Myers area, I'm Nicole Griggs for Fox 4.
All right, thank you for that, Nicole. And yeah, there are shelters available for you to still go to. They are consolidating, so instead of having fewer people in so many shelters, they're putting people together in shelters, but there's help coming. And the other thing that I want to point out is we're in like these phases, right? So we went through the storm, then we kind of went through looking at what happened to Southwest Florida and to the people here. Now we're seeing people in communities like Harlem Heights, where Trent and I are today, starting the recovery process, if you will, cleaning out their houses and figuring out what's next, filing those insurance claims. But there's also, there's so many phases of this, and FEMA is bringing in, the emergency management officials said they're bringing in those trailers that we saw after Charlie. If you are familiar with this, after Hurricane Charlie, we had what we called a Fema Village. It was off of I-75. You could see it when you were driving on the interstate. It was mobile homes for people who had nowhere to go, people whose homes were not safe to live in. So that kind of resource is being brought in. There are shelters. Your insurance in some cases does have emergency rental assistance so that you can get into a place where you can live while your home is fixed and taken care of. So there are resources out there. 311 is a great number to call if you don't know who to reach out to, and they'll put you in touch with the right people.
When we were walking out here this morning, these people obviously going to need help, not only from insurance, but FEMA, but from each other. But people have been so gracious about telling their stories and letting us into their homes. And right around the corner from here, we met 2 daughters and a mother. She was physically pulling a basketball hoop across the street to put it in a pile of debris. Guessing she was in her mid-60s. And just the effort that they're putting in this morning to clean up, because in that home, 4 to 5 feet of water like every other one in this neighborhood.
Yeah, their home is destroyed. They pretty much lost everything, and they're not leaving. They have to figure out what to do next. And they, again, like Trent said, allowed us to go in their home. Brisa is one person that lives there, and she walked me through to show the damage that they're facing. Yes, wow. Wow, yeah, you can see the line here. Be careful, Travis, because it's slippery. And then if you look towards the kitchen, you can see the water. And is that just mud from outside?
Well, I'm gonna guess it might be. No, when we opened the door, it was already here, so it might have been like whatever flood water came in through here.
Is somebody a Marine? Who is that?
No, that's my brother.
That's your brother.
Yeah.
Okay, and does he live here in Southwest Florida?
He doesn't live here in the house, but he does live in apartments down there.
That's awesome. So tell me, when you guys came back, because you said you went to a shelter during the storm, did you expect this, and what was your feeling when you saw this?
Well, we didn't really expect it, because I think at first it was a Category 3, and then it just kept changing, and the path was always changing, so we didn't really expect it. I don't think anyone in the neighborhood actually expected it to be that high, because I know a lot of people didn't evacuate.
Are you just in kind of shock still, or because you seem really good? I know this is so much for everyone to deal with. You have such a positive attitude.
I think we're really just thankful that we evacuated, because I know some of my parents' friends didn't evacuate, and they're like in shock, like I know they don't want to leave their house or anything, so I think we're just really thankful that we weren't here when it happened and stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brisa, for talking to us. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think anyone could have prepared for this or expected this. I mean, obviously, we knew the potential, but we've never seen anything like this in Southwest Florida before. And that's another thing we just want to point out. We see people on social media. It can be tough. They judge and they say, oh, well, that's what you get for living in Florida, or you decided to stay. We've never experienced anything like this, and we've never seen this kind of devastation in our communities, but we have seen Southwest Florida grow stronger, and we see the awesome people who are in the communities helping and stepping up like they are here at Harlem Heights today. So it's nice to see that.
It is. You know, New Haven here is one of the worst hit, and it's also one that we've learned that has generations of families that have gone through numerous storms. We talk about them all being different, right? Some of them went through Irma, they went through Wilma, they went through Charlie, so they had this preconceived notion, it's just another hurricane, but we'll rebuild. They weren't expecting the water and the storm surge. It was a unique storm and a unique setup, and it's one that we'll learn from and rebuild stronger.
Absolutely. All right, we are going to take a quick break. We've got more stories to tell from here in the Harlem Heights community, more information to give you if you need help, and we also want to let you know about some amazing volunteer opportunities as well. So we're going to do that after we take a quick break. You're watching Fox 4 News. And good afternoon, 12:35 right now on your Thursday, and thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 4 News. I'm Amy Wegmann alongside Trent, Aric. We're here in the Harlem Heights community of Southwest Florida. This is a community off Gladiolus Drive, close to Health Park Hospital, a community where people are struggling right now because of what you see behind us. They had their homes flooded 4 to 5 feet. They literally lost the contents inside their homes. You can see it piled up on the curb here. And they are working now to clean things up and figure out how to rebuild and recover after Hurricane Irma.
So many of us are without power still here on this 8th day after the storm. Here, they're dealing with not only the power outages, but the water effects, where many in the Cape are dealing just with the inconvenience to be without power. But I want you to take a look at this video here and these pictures. They were just sent to us here at Fox 4 from viewers in the Cape. And these are the power lines that were pushed by the storm. You can see how they're all leaning. This is the type of infrastructure that those linemen are continuing to fix, both with FPL, LCEC, and all the crews pitching in from across the country. And they're very close there to touching the ground and blocking the road. It's why the curfews have been in place here the last couple of days as well. It's just simply not safe. It's dangerous to be out in a vehicle, especially in the dark overnight.
All right, so we want to give you an update on the power numbers, and these are the most recent numbers that we're getting. So in Lee County, 75% of people have power. That means 25% don't. In Charlotte County, 31% of people do not have power. And just 1% of customers in Collier County are waiting for power to be restored. So that's great news there. We know that we see crews up and down the streets here in Harlem Heights. Electric companies that are coming in from out of state and working. And those numbers that I gave you are a combination. They're FPL and LCEC numbers together, kind of giving a broad picture of Southwest Florida.
Gotcha. And we've talked about the boil water notice. If you have power or a way to boil water, you're still going to want to do that. You bring your water to a boil for 60 seconds. We've talked about Lee and Charlotte County, both counties under that boil water notice. Well, we've got some news and an update on that. The city of Punta Gorda has announced that they are lifting their water boil notice. So a little bit of an encouragement there from the city of Punta Gorda.
Yeah, one of the places that kind of took our breath away as we were first seeing the damage after the storm was the causeway that goes to Sanibel Island, because initially we thought it was just one break, and then we learned it was multiple breaks. In fact, the islands in between spans were essentially washed away. When we're hearing, we want to show you some video of boaters, their recovery teams there. They're in the water along the damaged causeway. They're starting to bring people back and forth to the island now that passes have been given out. You do have to get a pass if you want to go back onto the island. But when we hear from the governor that the Florida Department of Transportation plans to have the causeway back open to road traffic, so car, by the end of October, it's really amazing to hear that. But this is what we see out on the water right now. Our boats going back and forth. They're bringing people to the island to go see their homes and their businesses that were damaged. In fact, a Sarasota business is offering drone services on Sanibel because they are wanting to help you get a look at your damage, your roof from up high. The company is called Suncoast Aerial. They have the access by water to go along the coastline there, and they can help you check on your property. They've done drone videos on buildings already on Sanibel, on Fort Myers Beach, on Captiva. If you haven't been able to get to your home or business on Sanibel Island yet, we have the contact information. Again, this is Suncoast Aerial. They will help you get bird's eye view of your house or your business so you can figure out what's going on there.
We're going to show you some damage here from San Carlos Island, and this was one of the hardest hit areas by Hurricane Ian. Obviously, that island is the one right before you make your way across the Matanzas Pass Bridge to Fort Myers Beach, and you can just see the numerous homes that were damaged. You've got boats in places that they shouldn't be, just crumpled together. We've seen images and video of the shrimp boats piled on top of each other. One of the more iconic views when you look off the Matanzas Pass Bridge. And now they're continuing to clean up, and they're using bulldozers, heavy machinery, front loaders to not only remove the sand and the silt that was left behind, but also all the debris, wood pilings everywhere, the boats. It's going to be a long process. You talked earlier about some of the boats are going to have to be removed via crane. Others are just a total loss. They're going to be chopped up into smaller pieces and hauled out. But a long road ahead for San Carlos Island.
Yeah, the shrimp boats are one of those iconic things you see on Fort Myers Beach, and to just see them thrown around really was breathtaking. Yeah. Shrimping is a big deal in Southwest Florida. It's a business that a lot of people rely on, not just on the shrimp boats, but there are shrimp farms on places like Pine Island. We wanted to check in with some of those business owners because we know how important they are here in our community. So our Alexandra Ronhell went to Pine Island and spoke with one of the owners of a shrimp farm there to see how they fared in Hurricane Ian.
Many of you may not know this, but Pine Island is one of the nation's top suppliers of shrimp. And despite some of the impacts caused by Hurricane Ian, Sun Shrimp Farms is proving that resilience can get you through any storm.
The day after the hurricane, I hitched a ride. I walked from Burnt Store Publix, got on the boat, and then got across it by the bridge, and I walked all the way here.
To a 7.5-acre farm in St. James City.
I said, there's no way there's anything left here. And yeah, as I got closer, I heard the generators run. I was like, huh, okay.
Robin Pearl started Sun Shrimp Farms in 2013. Hurricane Ian killed nearly 100,000 pounds of his shrimp and damaged all of his shrimp tents, but...
You know, there's a wall missing here, and there's a door missing there, and this and that, but you know, the doors blew out of this building. But, you know, it's just all that can be fixed.
And the biggest challenge?
Was that the bridge was out. And so we couldn't get to the farm.
For him and his dozens of employees that live off of the island, getting to the farm is a trek that starts before daybreak.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, we used to be able to drive to work, didn't think twice about it, and now we're taking a truck to a boat to a truck to get to the farm, but we'll do whatever it takes to get to work and take care of the shrimp.
About 70% of the farm's workers are immigrants.
Hay de México, hay de Nicaragua, hay hondureño, hay guatemalteco.
Wilfredo Martinez, an immigrant from Cuba, says they're in a rebuilding phase at the farm.
Hay deseo de que las cuestiones prosperen.
There's a desire to prosper, for the economy to prosper, and for ourselves to prosper, Martinez says. And they have a few short weeks until the start of their busiest time of the year.
So the prime season starts in November, December, January. Those are the prime seasons. So, you know, we got a month to get ready. And I mean, at this point, we'll be ready. Oh yeah, we're 100% ready.
Cleaning.
They're removing the dead because the water becomes toxic.
Repairing and making sure the shrimp get fed 3 times a day. Sun Shrimp Farms are full steam ahead.
This island, Pine Island, is such a rich history of fishing and seafood.
The farm not only produces fresh, natural shrimp, they also use genetics.
We'll note if it's male or female
to breed some of the strongest shrimp.
And the thing is, all these tanks have different genetic animals, different sizes, different weights, different purposes.
The Florida Farm Bureau reports that Florida farms have endured catastrophic levels of flooding and wind damage to crops and livestock as a result of Hurricane Ian. While some farms were devastated, Pearl says they were one of the lucky ones.
We've gone through very difficult times over the years.
He says he's proud of his team.
A lot of these people have no electricity, they have their own problems, right? But they're like, you know, the next day they were here, we want to come, we want to help. And this is their livelihood, obviously, but at the same time, there's a genuine passion there.
In Pine Island, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
All right, so we are back out here live now at 12:43 in Harlem Heights, and this is an area that saw such devastation because of flooding. And you know, it's not a place I think that a lot of people here expected to have water the way they did, 4 to 5 feet inside some of these homes behind me, and that's why you see all of their contents of their home piled up on the curb, because they truly lost everything. But these people have been talking to us, and they do plan on rebuilding, and they do plan on staying here. And it's amazing to see how positive they are through all of this.
Yeah, the generations of people who call this home. And we talked to a gentleman who was born right over there at Health Park, and he's been here every year of his life, and now he's got a little one. And when you hear this interview, you'll have to excuse the beep, 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 beep.
Ezekiel was honking the horn. Those buttons, you know, they're fun to push.
Yeah, and the vroom vrooms. He was giving us a few of those as well. But Carlos and his 1-year-old Ezekiel, they rode up to us this morning, and we got a chance to talk to him. Here's what Carlos had to say here about his home in Harlem Heights.
I'm born and raised Harlem Heights for about 32 years. Well, I'm 32 years old, so I'm born and raised Health Park, and I've been raised here in Harlem Heights my whole life.
What's it feel like to look around and see your home like this?
It's devastating. Like I told her, we just driving around, it makes you want to break down. My grandfather lives on the back street, and his whole home is completely gone, man. Like gone. We had to get back there when the storm came through, and all this was flooded. I mean, like to the window seals. You see the windows there? Mm-hmm. The water was completely up to the windows, inside the windows. These people couldn't move, so we had to get back here. I had to walk my grandfather on a canoe all the way out with his little damn chihuahua. It was horrible, man. We weren't expecting that. You know, they tell you to evacuate, but we didn't take it serious, you know?
Yeah. What's next? What do you guys do?
Rebuild, you know what I'm saying? Well, that's one thing, we're not gonna be defeated. As a whole, this community, we stick together and we rebuild. So I know for a fact we'll be, and you know, it's gonna take some time, a long time. This community is full of business owners. That's one thing, we're proud. Landscapers, all type of business owners. So we all work together and we're gonna rebuild.
Ezekiel's so cute. Yeah. I'm just so happy to see that smile. You got to look for the little things as we are, you know, dealing with a lot here in Southwest Florida, but we are strong, like you heard him say. Carlos said we're strong and we're going to get back on our feet, and I think that's the message we need to hold on to.
Mom and Dad are going to have some stories to tell Ezekiel when he grows up right here in Harlem Heights.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. All right, right now the time is 12:46. We got about 15 minutes left of our extended coverage here on the recovery from Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break. We'll see you then. On your Thursday afternoon, and you are watching Fox 4 continuing coverage of the recovery after Hurricane Ian. I'm Amy Wegmann.
And I'm Trent Aric. We are here in Harlem Heights, and we have been for the last 3 hours. And matter of fact, you and I arrived much earlier than that, around sunrise, to get into this community that they've reached out. They felt cut off and almost forgotten after the storm. Part of that, we couldn't access this area, and also because there were so many other areas that were hard hit by the storm, and we understand fully now why they felt that way.
Yeah, and the good news is we are here today because volunteers are out in the community and they are helping the people who live in Harlem Heights across Southwest Florida as well. They have crews out all over the place, start to clean up. You can see the pile alongside the road there, and they are working in homes to rip out drywall because these people got flooded 4 to 5 feet. We were able to speak with some of the volunteers. The Heights Foundation is working here in Harlem Heights. The Rotary of Sanibel is working here, and they're asking for your help as well. They're going to be out here tomorrow again doing this important work. So if you want to help, you can get in contact with them through their social media, but you can also just show up at the Heights Community Center, which is just off of Gladiolus. It's a big, beautiful building at the entrance, of Harlem Heights. You can't miss it. There's food there, water. They're going to be donating to the volunteers, but they need help to get this community back on their feet.
And I want to be clear, we didn't come here this morning and pick the street that had the worst debris or the most activity behind us. You look around, whether it's in front of us, around the corner, or 3 streets down, every road looks like this. The contents of the homes line both sides of the street, and it's block after block after block.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to see, but we're strong here in Southwest Florida, and we've got some really strong people on our side too, including our local law enforcement. It's been really amazing to see them not only kick in for the difficult work of the search and rescue we saw in the days right after the storm, but now just kind of walking us through this process and helping people get back to their homes. We saw that in Bonita. Lee County Sheriff's Office deputies were helping people who live on Bonita Beach to get back to their homes. They were taking them. They were posting that on their social media feeds, but we also were able to speak with Fort Myers Police. They are so dedicated to the community. Downtown Fort Myers saw a lot of flooding. Little pockets of Fort Myers saw a lot. So you see our law enforcement stepping up, unloading supplies, but Brianna Brownlee was able to talk to FMPD about why they're so dedicated to the community, not just all the time, but specifically after the storm. Let's take a listen.
I am outside of the Fort Myers Police Department, and as you can see, these different police cruisers from different parts of Florida. That's because all these agencies came together today to announce to Fort Myers that they would protect the community no matter how long it takes after Hurricane Ian.
Before we begin, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for Polk County Deputy Sheriff Blaine Lane, who was killed in the line of duty yesterday.
Starting with a moment of silence for a fallen Polk County Sheriff deputy who was killed in the line of duty, set the tone of solidarity amongst all of these law enforcement agencies.
We also owe a debt of gratitude to the law enforcement agencies from South Florida that have come to back us up during our time of need.
A need indeed, as many officers are still without power or running water, yet still patrolling the streets to keep the community safe.
Been through hurricanes in the command level of a police department. We've done that before, but we've never seen anything to the level that we've seen after Hurricane Ian.
And in a state of uncertainty, while scrambling trying to figure out who to call, Cape Coral Chief of Police Anthony Sizemore says the Miami-Dade Police Association reached out to lend a helping hand.
They know the challenges ahead, and without asking, without question, they began sending resources that were so desperately needed and are desperately needed.
Fort Myers Police, Cape Coral Police, Melody Police, West Miami, and Coral Gables are all banding together to rotate shifts to give officers a break.
They have assisted with traffic direction, road patrols, actually riding with our officers, police dispatching, and 911 calls.
The police chief of Coral Gables assured the community that he and his team will be in the area as long as the community needs them. I asked Deputy Chief Pepitone, through all of this, what has been the biggest challenge? He tells me people not following the basic rules.
Like the curfew from 9 till 6. When you're approaching an intersection where the traffic control's down, not treating it like a four-way stop. So we've had to, and then the disruptions at gas stations.
Can you elaborate just a little bit more on why it's important for residents to follow that curfew?
Because our officers are they're out there patrolling, trying to protect homes that have been evacuated from looting. So They need to concentrate on that instead of having to deal with unnecessary traffic and traffic crashes.
Now, police are urging the public to abide by that curfew because they don't want to have to use resources elsewhere. In front of Fort Myers Police Department, Brianna Brownlee, Fox 4.
Yeah, we're so grateful for our law enforcement. I don't know if you can see behind me, this awesome crew from the Red Cross is going up and down the streets here in Harlem Heights, and they're giving out comfort kits and food and water, and this is what we're seeing across Southwest Florida. It's not just our local law enforcement. It's so many organizations. You just can't put it into words. Stepping up, helping out. Our power crews are driving by. You know, it's just everywhere you look, you see the helpers, and I think those are the images we need to kind of focus in on as we try to rebuild.
Yeah, Amy, food distribution is a big deal. Obviously, this U-Haul with the Red Cross, they're driving street by street here, honking the horn, letting people know that help has arrived. And just to see, you can see behind us, that's Javier. That's the gentleman that was so gracious to let us walk through his home. He's living in the big rig that is parked there in his driveway. He rode out the storm with his 2 children. 4 to 5 feet of water in the height of it. So to see him getting some help today from the community is absolutely great. Now, one of those food distribution sites outside of Harlem Heights here is the Big Lots Plaza in Fort Myers. They're giving away food, water, pet supplies, but the hot meals, that's the key. They'll also have some cleaning supplies available. It's on North Cleveland Avenue in North Fort Myers. Again, that's the Big Lots Plaza. It's open each day. It opened this morning at 9. It'll go for another 4 hours until 5 o'clock.
In a lot of communities, we see the yard debris and the waste being piled up on the curb, and that is totally fine. We have waste management coming through in the coming days, and they are out on the streets now working to pick up not only your construction debris and damage from your homes, but also that yard waste. FEMA is working to help get rid of some of that. But in Collier County, they wanted to let you know that you have the option to drop off your debris if you want to. This is free of charge. There's 4 different recycling drop-off centers. So I want to give you those locations. Marco Island on Chalmer Drive, the Naples Airport on Corporate Flight Road in Naples, the Tim Nance Recycling Center on 39th Avenue North East, that's near the fairgrounds, and the Immokalee Transfer Station on Stockade Road in Immokalee is another location where you can bring that debris. If you just have the means, if you have a truck and somebody to help you get it there, it might be a good step forward to you and the cleanup process. The drop-off is open to Collier County residents only, though. You do have to show your ID, so keep that in mind. If you're a business owner or a contractor, keep in mind your debris will not be accepted. So this is for residents there, those locations. They're open Monday through Saturday, 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon.
Red Cross, FPL, another group of volunteers coming down the street. It just lifts your spirits here. Harlem Heights hit so hard by this storm, and I think a lot of the residents here, Amy, were wondering why? Well, where did the water come from? Because we've been talking all morning long about how many generations were born and raised here. And even though they've experienced storms such as Charlie back in '04, Wilma, followed by Irma, they